Make it plain.
Make it plain.
M.I.P.
With Masamela Matfumo.
Mark Thompson.
Make it plain.
Get woke.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome to the Make It Plain podcast this week someone with a brand new book out in spite of the crisis we're all in, and we'll talk about that. All of this is very, very challenging to us all. But I think she can help uplift all of us in this situation, give us some inspiration and hope and context. As I've been saying, every now and then we may need to just turn off the news, y'all, because it's not, it's rough. And when these press conferences aren't offering solutions anyway, but a bunch of lies, we need to do something different. So let me strongly suggest you add to your book list while you're home, sheltering in place. Other than Netflix, you can do other things. You can read. We want our bodies back. We want our bodies back. The latest book from the great Jessica Caramore, and she joins us now from Detroit. Jessica, God bless you, sister. How you holding up?
I'm holding up. So wonderful to be on the line with you and listening to your audience. Want to send out some good healing energy. We're all dealing with this. I'm in Detroit, so we're on the front line here. One of those top cities dealing with this crisis, and in particular, Black community here being hit really hard. Me personally being hit hard. But what you said is so true. Like, at some point in your day, I would just suggest not starting your day with the news. Really making the point to, and I'm talking to myself, while I'm talking to y'all about really making that cup of tea first, doing those couple yoga stretches or just checking into yourself first, because it has become for me, almost, stopping me in my tracks. So you can't really function because once you start digesting all this negativity and all the death and all the sickness, it becomes a part of your energy for the day. And so I'm working to make sure I have my 13-year-old here being Google Classroom schooled right now, driving me absolutely nuts. So so that's enough, that I have to be in the house with a teenager. It's stressful enough. But on a more serious note, just in general, reading, I think, it's bittersweet for me. My book is out. We Want Our Bodies Back. It's my 5th collection. It's my first collection with HarperCollins, Amistad. So it's a big deal for me to be on this major press. First Black woman poet since Gwendolyn Brooks to be on HarperCollins. So really big deal for my voice. I've been a poet for 25 years.
Yes,
and if people know my work, they know I've been publishing, through More Black Press, publishing Saul Williams and Danny Simmons and Raz Baraka. And I became as a very young person in New York City, living in Brooklyn and later Harlem, publishing the New York poets who were on the scene in the 90s, because people weren't checking for us. And so I started an institution around the work, and that was really my Detroit blue-collar hustle, that I knew that it had to be more than just about writing poems. I had to figure out how do we build something around the arts, right, to sustain myself. And it's deep because now we're talking about how do artists sustain themselves, right?
Right.
Because I'm out of work with a book out, though, nonetheless.
Yeah.
So.
But let's do this. First of all, I want to say it, and folks, Jessica was saying to me before we got started recording the podcast how this has affected her personally. She's lost some loved ones.
Yes.
So we want to lift them up and lift you up in that and
Thank
pray for you and them and their families. And then we also did talk about, you and I talked about the whole income piece for those of us who are artists.
Yeah.
And this affects everyone. Not to mention, let me mention this, and I'll just turn this over to you. We keep turning on the news, I think, instinctively because we're looking for some answers, some good news, for some solutions. But our people, we need to get back to the place where sometimes we could only find good news in Black thought, Black literature, Black poetry, Black artistry. It wasn't nothing else. Wasn't nobody giving us nothing else. And I think this is where we may find ourselves, if we haven't already, in this situation. So that's what I'm saying. I'm not just saying, buy the book for the hell of it. Let's just buy Jessica's book. I'm saying that we got to do some things. Go back to old school in terms of our survival. We need
Hmm.
some good news. So yeah, I mean, please
No, I
speak on
believe
all
in
of
all
that.
of these things. I mean, the art is the healing balm. It is poetry, and you're talking about specifically about Black artists. I'm a child of the Black arts movement, so I came up under the tutelage of Mary Baraka and
Right.
Sonia Sanchez, and Gil Scott Heron was my mentor. Roy Ayers still is, a part of my existence and has been supporting my work for many years.
Hmm.
So those artists, like, because I think right now, like in the time of like wartime or anything like that, is what keeps us going. When you saw those artists and those folks in Italy on their balconies, those horn players and things,
That's right.
like we are so necessary. And I think people often forget or take for granted that being a creative isn't valuable, but it is so valuable. And and we have everything we need. Like, let me tell you, my son, the healing remedies are in my home already. Like, so all the herbs and things that people are now running to figure out what to get, we already had it in our house. I didn't have to
Hmm.
buy anything new. We already had eucalyptus. We all had elderberry. We already had all the things. And so, getting back to the source of who we are as a people, what you said, and also the homeschooling piece. I told him, you about to study some other things. Like, we gonna have homeschool. Yeah, the
Mm.
school is still online, but now you home with me. So he's about to do a paper on having him study Kwame Ture. Like, we're gonna
Yeah.
learn about different people, Black political figures that you're not gonna learn at your little private Catholic school. They're not gonna teach you about that. So, and I told him we're gonna read some more books, like different books, And so now that I'm here, I mean, it's probably driving him nuts, but later he's gonna thank me.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and so, yeah, getting back to, like, we're the first teacher, we're our first
Hmm.
doctors. I mean,
Hmm.
that's what we have to remember. Not giving it all up to everybody. And I got people who are my brother, Dr. Rob Gore, shout him out, is a hero, like an emergency medical doctor in Brooklyn, New York.
Mm.
A
Bless his heart.
fantastic brother,
Mm.
and does great work in the community outside of just being a doctor. And he's on the front line of that movement, and I respect his work. But he also texted me and said, Jessica, we don't know it all. You know what I mean? And he
Mm.
goes to his herbs, and he goes to his natural healing, and the work that he does with his martial art, getting closer to your body. And making sure that we're taking care of ourselves. Like, we're talking about these pre-existing conditions. People brought up diabetes, high blood pressure. Now, these are things our community must deal with. We got to deal with the food we're eating.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
But also adding to the reading we're doing. Like, what
Yeah.
are we
Yeah.
reading? Like, your bookshelf should be real food. It should be something that you can, like. I used to say, my mother, when I grew up in Detroit, the one thing my mother gave me was books. Now, we would eat books, literally. Like, my mother would fly through novels, like, that's what we was eating.
That's
We was
great.
eating on some novels and some
That's great.
memoir. So, yeah, we want our bodies back. As the title poem is for Sandra Bland. So the book is a healing piece. My sister texted me this morning. She said, I got the book and I read the intro. And she said, she said, the intro just had me in tears. And so it's a real honest work. It's not easy work, but it's necessary, right? It's about, I'm dealing with police brutality. I'm thinking about, think about Black women, like who we are in the middle of this pandemic. The nurses that I've seen online that are on the front line, the mamas that are having to take care of families. And that's what this book is about. It's about lifting up those mothers and those sisters and those women who really carry the load and are often not talked about enough. Even when we're talking about what's happening with Mike Brown is in my book, Eric Gardner's in my book, of
Hmm.
course, Tamir Rice is in my book. I'm a mama. So I'm
Mm.
talking about my sons. But at the
Yeah.
same
Yeah.
time, we often, like Sandra Bland, there's so many Sandra Blands, we don't
Yeah.
hear about what happens to these sisters. And she was just like me. I talk a lot
Yeah.
of mess. I talk a lot. Like, I'm like, when the police pull me over, I am not in a good mood. I don't feel safe. I mean, that's real. The only thing that might save me a little bit is that if I'm driving in Detroit, I drive all over the country. Sometimes I'm renting cars. I'm driving in LA. I'm driving in Milwaukee, wherever I happen to be on the road doing. But in Detroit, at least I might get a Black cop. That is
Hmm.
different. That we
Hmm.
still are, a predominantly Black city. Detroit is. We're still a chocolate city. And despite the rapid gentrification going on everywhere in all cities, we're still the majority here. And so you do see yourself. I've been pulled over by brothers I went to high school with, and that makes a difference. But we have to start becoming a people again. And I think that's what reminds me of things you said, what makes me think about, like, getting back to the essence of who we are. Like,
Yeah.
what would my
Yeah.
daddy be doing right now?
Mm. Mm.
So,
Well, you talk
yeah,
about your son. I mean,
yeah,
what you learned and what you know, all of us did in our
hmm
generation, and you and I are fairly close in age.
yeah,
Um, We
25.
right. I know that's right. Amen. We got it outside of school. You know,
Yes.
we didn't get everything
Yes.
in the school. We a lot of what we got,
Nah.
we had to get on our own. And you mentioned you talk a lot of mess. Now,
Hmm.
if we using Sandra Bland as a standard, I mean Sandra talk like every black woman
Yeah.
I've ever known. So to me, that ain't mess.
That's
That's just
right.
us. That's just how we got
That's
to
just
deal.
us. We
How we
tell the
got,
truth.
yeah, that's how we got to deal. So, but you know, as I'm looking at the book and knowing what it's
Yeah.
about and who you dedicated it to, and God bless you for that. I see
Thank
even
you.
in this current situation, and you talk about your brother being in medicine.
Yeah.
When we want our bodies back, to me,
Mm. Mm.
and this is coming from a former poet. I don't have time to do it like I used to. I wish I
All
did.
right.
Lord have
All
mercy. But
right. I
when
believe you.
but when we say we want our bodies back today in
Mm.
the midst of this crisis,
Yeah.
it still applies
Yeah.
because our bodies have been
Mm.
abused and taken for granted, mistreated,
That's right.
malnourished, diagnosed.
Come
You know, we
on.
get treated different in the doctor's office. And, you know, a whole lot of
Yeah.
folk was saying, oh, it was this myth. This thing ain't going to affect black people. But now we're seeing
Please.
Milwaukee and where you are in
Mm.
Detroit. And
Yeah.
we have all these other
New
issues,
Orleans, Baltimore about to get hit.
and all of that. And right, that's right, New
Yeah.
Orleans, that's right. So
Yeah.
talk to us about how
Mm.
even what you've written about and released
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
applicable whether the police are, I mean, hopefully the police ain't stopping you now because you're supposed to be home, y'all. But
Yeah.
still, the reclamation of our bodies is still applicable with this plague.
It is. It's also, about self-care. It's about really deciding. Some people live for that pharmacy. Some people want to go get their pills and have the doctor medicate them. It's just never been my way. And back in the day, it was not the way. The Black South taught us. We didn't have all the things, coming up from slavery and the things that we had to take care of our children, right? The best way we could. And so we learned, we knew about the plants that were the healing remedies. We knew about aloe, and my folks are down in Alabama. Like, folks aren't running to the doctor when something happens, when they get a cough. And so, like, learning, relearning, or just really unlearning, because a big part of what you're talking about is also just the educational piece,
Hmm.
like us not knowing the gifts that we are born with, and the education that's passed down through oral, through spirit world, the things that I have, even a lot of things that I know about are not necessarily, there's none of it was something I studied at Michigan State or Wayne
Right,
State
right,
University,
right.
let alone my high school. What I learned in school was that I was not learning much. Like, that's the thing that I learned, that
Mm.
they're trying to make sure that I don't know anything too much because I might actually become educated. So I've educated myself. I learned how to be a poet. I didn't go get a master's degree. I learned how to be a poet by going to the library. And I read. I read
Mm.
everybody. I
Mm.
read the
Mm.
white poets I was forced to write. I read like T.S. Eliot and Robert Frost and Walt Whitman. I read all those guys. And then I went and found Audre Lorde and Lucille Clifton. I found the black broadside press writers like Dudley Randall and Larry Neal. I was doing that when I was like 15.
Mm.
Like, I was like, I'm going to teach
Right,
myself,
right.
because as soon as my drama teacher brought Indazaki Shange for Color Girls into the Black Box Theater, my whole world changed. And I was like, that's the one thing the Detroit public school system gave me, was my drama teacher. They don't have that no more. No, the
That's right.
theater gone, painting gone. You can't play a musical instrument. We used to have the baddest
Right.
bands in the land was in Detroit. As
Yeah.
anybody that went to TSU, right? Like, all the bandmates, everybody went to TSU when they left Detroit and played for their band.
That's right. That's
And
right.
back in the day, that's what we did. We all went to TSU.
That's
And
right.
so, but now these kids don't have no bands. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Very, very,
Yeah.
maybe a couple of the schools got bands, but it's not, this battle of the bands does not occur. We don't
Yeah.
have drama departments. We have one school, Detroit School of the Arts is our only Detroit public school that's really killing it as far as art and theater in the city. One school.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
that's ridiculous in this city full of black and brown children that I know want to do art, but don't even know it's accessible to them.
Right.
Don't even know, So I think this is and we all at home together. So people are at home, and some folks, my family has started to Zoom, that, for the
Yeah.
first time, and we're, talking to people that you don't normally talk and check in. Like, maybe we should check in with each other a little more. We started doing this thing in Zoom, and my family was like, we should do this more often. We should actually do this
Yeah.
once a week. Yeah, why don't we start talking to each other instead of just going to work
Yeah.
and coming home, with our significant other and not checking in and being real family like. And so,
Well, it's funny you
yeah.
should say that about Detroit. I had Mary Wilson in the studio with me not too long ago, and
Yeah.
I asked her what was in the water in Detroit that there was so many successful musicians, and she said, Mark, it wasn't in the water; it was in the school. You don't have the people teaching music in any of the schools in the country the way you used to. And I think I remember taking a poetry class when I was in high school.
Believe it, yeah.
And they had them in college. I mean, so
Yeah.
all of that is
Whew.
important and necessary. I didn't ask you this beforehand, but I'm gonna put you on the spot because we need
Okay.
some help in healing. Why you
Oh,
feel like reading a little bit for us
yeah,
from
I
the
can
book?
read a poem.
Please.
Absolutely. I always got poems. I'm gonna read. Well, a lot of the book is heavier than that, but I do have some stuff that's kind of more light. So I want to read this, and I love this poem. It's called "I Used to Be a Roller Coaster Girl," and I wrote it for Intozaki Shange, and it's about being a little girl growing up in Detroit. And so, it's for little girls everywhere that are strong. Because I was a little strong, pulled my hair back in a ponytail, run around with my brother's kind of little girl. So that's me. I used to be a roller coaster girl. 7 times in a row, no vertical, and these skinny legs. My lipstick bubblegum pink as my Panther 10 speed. Never kiss, nappy pigtails, no brand gym shoes, white line, yellow short shorts, scratching up legs, pedaling past borders of hummus and baba ganoush, mosques and liquor stores, city chicken, pepperoni bread, and Superman ice cream cones. Yellow, black, blended with bits of Arabic, Islam, and Catholicism. My daddy was Jesus. My mother was quiet. Jane Kennedy was worshipped by my brother Mark. I don't remember having my own bed before 12. Me and my sister Lisa shared. Sometimes all 3 more girls slept in that queen. You grow up so close, never close enough. I used to be a roller coaster girl, wild child full of flowers and ideas, useless crushes on Polish boys in a school full of white girls. Future black swan singing Zeppelin, U2, and Rick Springfield, hoping to be Jesse's girl. I could outrun my brothers and everybody else to that reoccurring line. I used to be a roller coaster girl till you told me I was moving too fast. Said my rush made your head spin, my laughter hurt your ears. A scream of happiness, a scream of freedom, pouring out my armpits, sweating up my neck. You were always the scared one. I kept my eyes open for the entire trip. Right before the drop, I would brace myself and let that force push my head back into that hard iron seat. My arms nearly fell off a few times. Still, I kept running back to that line when I was done. Same way I kept running back to you. I used to be a roller coaster girl. I wasn't scared of mountains or falling. Hell, I looked forward to flying and jumping off this earth and coming back to life every once in a while. I found some peace in being out of control, allowing my blood to race through my veins for 180 seconds. I earn my sometimes nicotine pull. I buy my own damn drinks, and the ocean still calls my name when it feels my toes near its shore. I still love roller coasters, and you grew up to be afraid of all girls who could ride fearlessly like me. So that's it.
Jessica
That's what
Campbell, I'm snapping right
Yeah.
now. Okay, I'm doing the thing.
You
No,
give me
that,
some love.
no, that's beautiful.
Thank
It's something I'm going to
you.
share with you. Earlier this week, we talked with James Clyburn,
Okay.
and I asked him. I said, "Man, the word is you told Joe Biden that he needs to pick a black woman." And he said,
Yeah.
"No, I never said that." He said, "What I said." He said, "What I said, Mark, was that the person you pick should be a reflection of those who have put their blood, sweat, and tears into this party and this movement for our people to have the right to vote."
That's right. That would
So,
be us.
right, that's what I'm saying. So I'm like, so you didn't say it explicitly, but you said it implicitly. And then he
Yeah.
talked about, there are black women everywhere qualified to be in office, qualified to be the president,
That's
qualified to
right.
be on the Supreme Court. And
Absolutely.
that's what we got to lift up. And I know that's what you are lifting up. Can I make a request? So I want to hear another poem, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
Because
What you want to
I
hear?
really think that this is,
Mm.
this whole thing to me is we're really in a state of spiritual warfare. Because like you said, your brother, these
Safe
doctors
spiritual
don't know.
warfare.
They don't
Yes.
know.
Come on.
And I've been telling everybody who's not here in New York, Jessica, I
Yeah.
was looking at TV, again, the news. And I'm sitting here in my computer, and then last Wednesday, a week ago, the refrigeration truck pulled up to
Mm.
put the bodies in it,
I saw,
and I was
I
like,
saw that. I haven't been the same since I saw the
that's what
video.
I'm saying.
I haven't been the
When I
same.
saw that, sister. You know how something just overtakes you. So, oh, wait a minute,
Yeah.
this is something else now. Wait a minute. And I
Yeah.
had to go
Yeah.
into the prayer closet and get some folk to pray for me, and then come out and pray for everybody else. Even as a minister, I got weak.
Mm.
And I've been dealing with that and realizing this is spiritual warfare. So
Warfare.
I am not ready to die.
Oh, yes, what you want to hear?
That's
Okay,
what we need to
because I
hear.
had another one. The way you were talking, I had
Well,
something
do
else
that
pulled
too.
up.
Listen, we want to hear your voice. Do them both, please. We got time, please.
Okay, we have time.
Yeah,
Because with the way you're talking, it made me want to do this piece. It's a
please.
little longer than I'm not ready to die. But gratitude is a recipe for survival.
Mm.
And it's a poem I wrote. I wrote a version of the poem in my first book, God Is Not an American, and rewrote it for this book because I couldn't possibly publish this book and not talk about gratitude and about survival, right? And about how we survive. And so this is the piece is for the people who survive outside of the norm, right? Who figure out ways to stay alive. Like
Please.
artists, like right now, like I'm gonna figure out a way to take care of my son,
Amen.
right? You think
Amen.
Jessica Care Moore ain't gonna be on the street. I'm not gonna lose my house. So I'm not claiming any of that, and I don't have all my gigs are rebooked for the fall. But I got to get to September, and we're going to figure that out. But gratitude is a recipe for survival.
Please.
She is the woman in yellow. In her kitchen full of teas and fresh herbs, she is cutting celery for soup, and a slow fire warms a broth that will leave her doctors in awe. She is cancer-free and more fierce than she was when there were two breasts to define her as a woman, arms stretching daylight so the nights feel less heavy. She has decided to live, despite the post-traumatic stress racing through the veins of so many of us, warriors, survivors, artists who break poems in half for decades to feed an audience but must budget food for our children. Self-care is not a catchphrase. It is simply what is necessary when you aren't poor enough for federal welfare or too rich to realize the pharmacy is not the answer to all your darkest fears. Some mothers just need to be prescribed some sleep or the power to fight against the chemical waste polluting the air of low-income neighborhoods. Magic blue black women who turn 25-floor project hallways into endless playgrounds for princesses and pigtails, whose deferred dreams turn every corner, defy gravity and define possibility. 1 part honey, 2 parts ginger. A grandmother carries nearly 20 grandchildren in her eyes. She would not be easily moved by the lead infesting her reality, the poison water she's been cooking her greens and bathing her Flint babies in for years. She is conjuring the chefs of gutted pigs, the salted seasoning of slavery, the ancient healing remedies of moonlit daughters and twilight fathers who decide they will not die. The courage of thousands of displaced Black American HIV-positive teens fighting for their lives without shelter from a pandemic, no church, no place to provide adequate health care or safety from stigma, pushing for resources and representation in a country where health care is only for those who can afford it, not the ones we can no longer afford to lose. A dash of cayenne, a squeeze of lemon, an American toothache laughs at the sugar tax of San Francisco. Comedy is a consistent remedy to boosting our fragile immune systems. Where you live determines if you are treated and how you are treated. Still, here I stand, metaphorical daughter of Robeson, holding my 11-month-old son in my arms at the DHS office. The student from University of Michigan recognizes me in the line despite my baseball cap and jogging pants, turns to me and says, "We are studying your books in our English class." The homeless man gives me $1. I am hiding, hoping to not look like I'm doing well. Doing well doesn't go with the chairs in this office. I'm thankful and embarrassed. The same day I was booked for a show in Paris, asked to deliver a keynote at another college, my son's health insurance was canceled by the state. And the preschool says I owe them $3,000 before my son can continue in the new year. The daycare lady is asking me if I have a job again. I'm a famous poet and writer. I performed all over this country, Europe, South Africa, Brazil, Ghana. Remember me? I was on the cover of the New York Times. My poems are alive on the 4th floor of the National Museum of African American History in Washington, D.C. I'm on display, always on display. Exactly what does being a legend pay? I need some W-2s for this life. This is madness, I tell myself. In order to receive help from the state, you have to be working. My writing is my work. I can't have my son 24 hours a day and write and create new work. Question marks float on top of the head of the caseworker. Herbie Hancock plays in the background. Never leave your music at home. Never leave your music at home. They only play the TV on one station in the lobby, the sci-fi channel or something. Sometimes there are cookies full of M&M's. King, don't touch the cookies, baby. King, don't touch the cookies. I made up a job because my job is not a job. And apparently told them I make too much money that doesn't really exist. So now I'll be allocated $12 a month for food. Art is a thankless job. Art is a thankless job. Weldon Irvine, who co-wrote To Be Young, Gifted and Black, would whisper in my ear at the Schomburg in Harlem before he killed himself a few years later. Thankless, 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 thank you, thank you, thank you, thankless, 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 thank you, thank you, thank you, Joni Mitchell and Nina Simone, to drown out these moments. Thank you, Imani and Satan, Stephanie, Tammy, Angie, Charlotte, and even Beyonce for that song, If I Were a Boy. Thank you, angels, past lovers. Thank you, patience. Thank you, bravery. Thank you, peace. Thank you, resistance. Thank you, Mos Def, for telling me it was honorable to live my life, travel the world. People ask me what I do. I simply say I'm a poet. Thank you, Talib Kweli and Sonia Sanchez, for friendship and activism. Ozzie Davis for that elbow nudge in my arm and your smile. Thank you, Nana, for buying coats and uncles for shoes. More family. I have more family. I was born a more. I'm headed to LA for some shows. I have to stop crying and write this poem, but this is not a show. This is my life, God. This is my gift. Got a gig in London when I was writing this. Next month's rent. Thank you, Daddy, God, ancestors, past lover, present lover. Got your text, baby. I'm okay. Poems. This is what I have to give. I'm eating poems today. I'm thankful. I'm humiliated. I'm embarrassed. I'm surviving. I'm writing. Dick Gregory just died. Ruby D just died. Mitty Baraka just died. Jen Cortez just died. You can't stop us. You can't stop us. No. Love is health care, and gratitude is a recipe for survival. This is my job, damn it. This is my job, you know. We are mothers. Give us our checks. I'm a mother. Give me my check. Amen, amen, amen. Always honey, always sweet. A poet, a woman in yellow, mixed with apple cider vinegar. A grandmother in Flint, dicing garlic with prayer. A beautiful boy in Harlem, sipping hot green tea. A princess born into poverty, banking poems inside peach pies. You can't find them, you can't find me. We are busy outliving our circumstances. You are in Zaki's kitchen, boiling a fearless soup for survival for color girls. We are busy confusing your paperwork with real life. My lover says he speaks to me in real life. The internet is an illusion. Healthcare should not be an illusion. People are addicted to illusions, though. Thankless, thankless world. Not me, 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 not me. Thank you. That's it.
Jessica Care Moore. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That was powerful.
Thank you.
That was powerful.
Thank you. Over the phone is hard.
No, it worked. I'm just sitting up here as you were reading that. I'm sitting up here on the phone in the middle of a plague, listening to Jessica Care Moore read her poetry. That's salvific unto itself. Folks, you need to get this book. We want our bodies back. Now,
please get it.
Let me just ask this. So, are you gonna go on Instagram Live and elsewhere and read? Because I think people need that.
April 23rd, me and Kevin Powell will be in conversation and hopefully Talib. I had a big book party coming up in New York at the International Institute for Photography with me and Kevin Powell in conversation. And Talib Kweli was DJing my party.
Wow.
So we're going to try to get Talib to do a playlist for us, but me and Kevin are doing the conversation, talking about the work. So that's all going to be, if anyone goes to my Instagram page, it's just Jessica Care Moore, or to my Facebook page, or to jessicacaremore.com, I post everything. Right. So there'll be flyers for all the events, the online virtual events that are coming up. We're trying to get a Black on Maroc online. You know, I executive produced Black on Maroc for 16 years.
Right.
So we're working on Black on Maroc. The women, I got a 10 headliners already lined up. We're just figuring out what the best platform is. So people just stay on my social media. I'm on there more than I want to be right now. And I try to keep my page uplifting as possible, since other folks really are putting a lot of doom and gloom, and I'm trying to keep it as lifted as possible. So you safely follow me on Facebook or Instagram for some good check-ins, for the spirit. So.
We appreciate that, and we need it. You and that little boy, y'all take care of yourselves. And
thank you.
We pray.
I hope to see you in real life in the future.
Yeah, I hope to see you as well. We praying for you all and all of our protection, okay? God bless you, sister.
You.
Thank you
right,
for everything, and we'll be in touch. All right.
Okay. All right.
Bye-bye. Thank you for listening to Make It Plain and Get Woke. Remember to listen, like, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get your podcasts. Also, subscribe to Make It Plain and Get Woke daily. Check out makeitplain.com to subscribe. if all minds are clear, it has been made plain.